Hello there. It's time to rest your thoughts and loosen the day from your shoulders. Find a place where you can be still, somewhere quiet, soft, and calm. Let your body settle into comfort and take a slow, easy breath in and out. Tonight, we will drift far away, beyond cities and lights, beyond the hum of modern life, to a place where time itself began to keep its rhythm. Imagine a land cradled by two ancient rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. The air is warm, carrying the scent of clay and wild grass. The horizon glows like burnished gold beneath the sun. This is Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. And at its heart once stood a city of wonder and wisdom, a place where stars were studied, gardens floated in the air, and laws were written upon clay. Tonight, you will walk through the story of that city, through Babylon, a place that dreamed of touching the heavens. Let the world around you fade for now. The noise, the rush, the worries, they can all wait until morning. For now, we travel gently, step by step, through the corridors of history, through quiet ruins, whispering winds, and forgotten songs. Close your eyes and imagine the first flicker of firelight dancing across the bricks of an ancient temple. Your journey through Babylon begins here. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of an ancient land. The air is still warm from the day's sun, and the earth beneath your feet is soft and fragrant, smelling faintly of river clay and salt carried from faraway marshes. Before you, two great rivers stretch across the horizon, the Tigris and the Euphrates, flowing like twin silver threads through a vast plain of golden dust. This is Mesopotamia. The name itself means the land between rivers. Here, in this gentle cradle, civilization took its first calm breath. Long before the rise of Rome or the pyramids of Egypt, long before the stories written on papyrus or parchment, people here learned the rhythm of the rivers, and in doing so, they learned the rhythm of life. Now, close your eyes for a moment and imagine what it must have been like. The year is not counted yet. There are no calendars, no cities, no kings. The sun rises and falls, marking time in colors rather than in numbers. Families gather in small clay huts near the riverbanks. They farm, fish, and trade simple goods. Children play near the water's edge, shaping tiny figures from wet mud that will dry into toys by morning. At night, the air cools, and the sky opens wide, an endless dome of stars, bright and clear, as if the heavens themselves lean closer to watch these first settlers of the fertile plain. The people look up and begin to wonder. They give names to the stars, and the act of naming becomes the first step toward understanding. The rivers feed them. When the floods come, the fields are covered in water and rich, dark soil. When the waters retreat, the land glows green with new life. Wheat, barley, and date palms rise from the ground, nourished by silt and sunlight. Slowly, the people begin to settle permanently. They build granaries, walls, and temples. They start to record, not with words at first, but with marks, with signs pressed into clay. This is how history begins, quietly, with a reed pressed into wet earth. As the generations pass, these villages grow into towns. One of them stands out. Its walls rise a little higher, its markets sound a little busier, and its temples shine a little brighter in the desert sun. This town will one day be known as Babylon. You walk through its earliest streets now, though they are not yet paved, and the walls are made of sun-dried brick. You can feel a certain energy in the air. The people move, with purpose. They trade grains and cloth, oil and pottery. In the distance, a priest stands on a small platform, raising his arms toward the heavens, murmuring prayers to the gods of sky and storm. The air smells of incense, sweet and smoky. Babylon is still young, a whisper of what it will one day become. Yet even now, there is something remarkable here, a sense of order, of vision. The people have begun to organize their lives, not by chance, but by design. The rivers that once ruled them are now tamed by canals and levees. They have learned to measure, to plan, to record. In the cool shade of a clay-walled courtyard, a scribe sits cross-legged beside a basket of wet tablets. With a thin reed, he presses small wedge-shaped marks into the soft surface. These marks are cuneiform, one of the earliest writing systems in the world. Each sign stands for a sound, a number, or an idea. When the tablets dry, they harden like stone, preserving the thoughts of this age for thousands of years to come. Through writing, memory becomes permanent. Trade records, hymns, laws, all captured in lines of delicate impressions. For the first time, human beings begin to speak, not just to one another, but to the future. As you walk farther into the city, you notice the temple rising above the homes, a ziggurat, though still small in these early days. It is made of stacked platforms, each smaller than the one below, built to reach toward the heavens. The Babylonians believe that their gods live above the clouds, and by building upward, they bring themselves closer to the divine. The temple hums with quiet life. Women bring baskets of dates and honey as offerings. Priests pour cool water over clay altars, a symbol of purity. The smell of burning cedar fills the air, mingling with the distant sound of drums, marking the rhythm of time. This is not a kingdom of conquest or war. Not yet. It is a kingdom of observation, of patterns, of stars, of seasons. The people of Babylon watch the world carefully. They measure the length of shadows to understand time. They study the moon to predict the floods. They believe that everything from the shape of clouds to the flight of birds carries meaning. And so their world becomes rich with symbols. The bull stands for strength, the lion for protection, the snake for rebirth. Every carving, every seal, every pattern in the brick tells a story. You can almost feel it under your fingertips, the texture of meaning pressed into the surface of their world. As twilight deepens, the city glows softly in the fading light. Oil lamps flicker in doorways. A gentle wind carries the scent of wet clay and grain. From somewhere near the temple, a song begins, low, rhythmic, ancient. It is a hymn to the gods, sung in a language that no longer exists, yet somehow feels familiar. You stand still and listen. The melody rises and falls, blending with the hum of insects, the whisper of reeds, and the slow pulse of the river. This is the sound of humanity finding its place in the vastness of creation, humble, curious, and hopeful. Babylon, in its infancy, is already dreaming of eternity. As the night stretches on, you wander toward the edge of the city. The stars above shimmer brighter now. You can trace constellations the way the ancient astronomers once did, connecting them into patterns of gods and creatures. You realize that the same stars you see now are the same that guided them thousands of years ago. The sky itself is their legacy, a vast, eternal tablet where every light is a mark, every mark a message. The world around you feels both young and timeless. The rivers murmur softly in the distance. The air cools against your skin. Somewhere, a child's laughter echoes faintly, followed by the bark of a dog. The rhythm of life, simple, steady, enduring, continues. And in that moment, you understand why Babylon was born here, between these rivers. It is not merely a city of stone and clay, but a reflection of something deeper, the human desire to bring order to chaos, to create meaning in the flow of time. As you take one last look at the glowing horizon, the voice of the river seems to whisper, "Everything begins here." The wind carries that whisper gently over the plains, through the reeds, across the quiet huts where families sleep beneath the stars. It drifts through the centuries into the dreams of those who came after kings and poets, builders and dreamers. And now, as you breathe slowly, you feel that same whisper reach you, soft, steady, ancient. It reminds you that every civilization, no matter how grand, began with a single moment of wonder, a single act of looking at the world and deciding to understand it. The first breath of Babylon lingers still in the sound of water, in the shape of the stars, and perhaps in the quiet rhythm of your own heartbeat. So rest now, traveler of time. Let the rivers carry you onward. The story of Babylon has just begun. Imagine the same rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, winding through the plains like threads of light. But the world around them has changed. The quiet villages have grown into proud cities, and among them, Babylon now stands as the beating heart of Mesopotamia, a city that hums softly with life, order, and vision. You walk beneath a morning sky, pale and golden. The first rays of the sun slide down the tall walls of clay and tile, catching on the edges of rooftops and temples. The streets below are already alive with sound, the gentle creak of carts, the chatter of merchants, the clinking of pottery. Babylon has entered its classical age, an era of structure, beauty, and the pursuit of wisdom. At the center of this world stands a man whose name still echoes through the corridors of history, Hammurabi. He is both ruler and reformer, a king who dreams not only of power but of justice. Imagine his court cool stone floors, heavy columns, and a single dark monument rising from the ground. Upon its surface, in tiny carved symbols, lie the laws of Hammurabi. You step closer, the black basalt stone glimmers faintly, polished by time. Each line pressed into it is deliberate, firm, and full of intent. If a man does this, it says, then this shall follow. It is not the voice of cruelty, but of order, an attempt to give shape to fairness, to bring balance to a growing world. And there, at the top of the monument, a carving, Hammurabi himself, receiving the laws from Shamash, the sun god, the bringer of light and justice. It is a moment frozen in stone, a message to all who come after, that kings must rule not by might alone, but by wisdom and clarity. As you wander through the city, the life of Babylon unfolds like a gentle rhythm. The streets are wide and orderly. Canals weave through neighborhoods, carrying cool water to gardens and homes. The air smells faintly of baked bread and olive oil, of clay and incense. You hear the hum of conversation in markets, people bartering over dates, copper tools, fragrant spices, and bolts of dyed fabric. Everywhere there is movement, purpose, harmony. Babylon has learned how to live with the rivers, not against them. It has turned the cycles of flooding and drought into the pulse of prosperity. In the distance, you see the ziggurat, tall and majestic, rising tier by tier toward the heavens. At its summit, priests and scholars watch the stars. Their eyes follow the paths of Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. They measure the sky with the patience of centuries, and in their clay tablets they write, marking eclipses, charting seasons, counting days. This is where astronomy begins. The Babylonians believe that the movements of the heavens mirror the will of the gods. By observing the sky, they seek to understand fate itself. Yet, in their careful records and quiet calculations, something else begins to take shape: science. Without meaning to, they are building the foundation of knowledge that will one day circle the world. As the day grows warmer, you find shade beneath a tall wall of painted tiles. The surface gleams blue, the color of the deep sky after rain. Upon it, golden lions march in perfect procession, symbols of the goddess Ishtar, protector of the city. Their bodies seem almost alive in the sunlight, muscles caught mid-step, eyes fierce and watchful. Nearby, the people prepare for a festival. Drums thrum softly in the distance. Women carry baskets of flowers. Men pour water to bless the earth. The celebration honors the renewal of life, the turning of the seasons, the endless rhythm of planting and harvest. You are invited to sit beside them. Someone hands you a cup made of polished clay, filled with cool barley beer. It tastes faintly sweet, earthy, simple. The people around you laugh softly, their faces calm. They speak of the gods, of the stars, of their families, and of Hammurabi's wisdom that keeps their city at peace. The sun moves across the sky, and Babylon glows with warmth. Above you, pigeons circle. Below, artisans work patiently, potters shaping vessels, weavers creating intricate patterns on looms, sculptors carving stories into stone. In each task, there is precision and pride. You notice something. Babylon's greatness does not come only from its walls or its kings, but from its rhythm, the steady balance of work and worship, of curiosity and discipline. Every person, from the scribe to the farmer, plays a part in this symphony of civilization. As dusk approaches, the air softens. Lamps are lit one by one, flickering golden in the evening haze. The river catches the last of the sunlight, rippling with molten reflections. A cool breeze carries the scent of palm trees and distant rain. You walk toward the temple district, where the sacred fires are being kindled. The chants of the priests echo low and slow, words that blend with the night, ancient syllables that seem to rise and fall like the river's own breath. You cannot understand the language, but you can feel its weight. It speaks of gratitude, of harmony between earth and sky. For a moment, everything feels timeless. The stars above shimmer like they did centuries before, and as they will centuries after. You realize that these same constellations once guided Hammurabi himself, that they watched silently as laws were written, as temples rose, as dreams took shape in clay. You pause near a quiet courtyard where a teacher sits with a circle of students. Their tablets are spread out before them, each covered in fresh cuneiform. The teacher's voice is calm, deliberate. He is teaching the art of numbers, the sexagesimal system, based on 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. Time itself, as you know it, began here. You smile softly, realizing how much of your world, your clocks, your calendars, your way of measuring life, was born in this gentle, ancient city. As the night deepens, Babylon grows quiet again. The laughter fades, the music stills, and the oil lamps burn lower. Somewhere, a priest records the day's observations, the moon's position, the direction of the wind. the level of the river. His hand moves carefully, patiently, leaving traces of thought that will outlive him by thousands of years. And you, standing beneath the stars, feel a deep calm settle in your chest. This is what civilization sounds like in its maturity, not the clash of conquest, but the hum of understanding. The Babylonians have built not just walls, but ideas. They have found a way to bring the heavens closer, to make meaning out of mystery. In the distance, the faint glow of the ziggurat lingers against the night sky. Its tears shimmer in moonlight like steps carved for the gods themselves. The air is cool, the river steady. The city sleeps, but its heartbeat continues, slow, deliberate, eternal. You breathe deeply. The scent of clay, of water, of life itself fills the air. Babylon dreams, and so do you, for in its quiet rise, you can hear the story of humankind, the yearning to understand, to build, to leave behind something that endures. As the final lamps fade, the voice of the wind whispers once more across the riverbanks. Order brings peace, knowledge brings light, and beneath that whisper, Babylon rests serene, luminous, everlasting. Imagine walking once again through the heart of Babylon. The sun has just risen, painting the city in a warm, golden hue. From the top of the tall ziggurat, you can see the twin rivers glimmering in the distance, winding silver threads that reach far beyond the horizon. Those rivers do not only carry water anymore, they carry voices, they carry stories, they carry the world. This is no longer the quiet city of Hammurabi's time. The Babylon you now walk through has become a crossroads of civilizations. The streets hum in many languages: Akkadian, Aramaic, Egyptian, Elamite, and others from lands so far away that their names sound like wind-blown whispers. You stroll through the market, and the air feels alive. The scent of cinnamon and frankincense mingles with the sharp aroma of newly tanned leather. Traders from the Persian plateau display rugs with intricate designs. Phoenician merchants arrive by caravan, bringing glass beads that sparkle like fragments of stars. Egyptian envoys bring papyrus, gold, and curious stories of their river, a river as mighty as the ones that cradle Babylon. Everywhere you turn, you see evidence of a city open to the world. Foreign goods fill the stalls, but so do foreign ideas, new gods, new art, new words. The people of Babylon listen, watch, and adapt. It is their way. At a small corner near the Temple of Marduk, a priest stands beside a visitor from the west. Their robes are different, their accents distinct, yet they speak together in calm tones. They are not arguing, they are comparing. They trace symbols in the dust with reeds, translating prayers, measuring beliefs. You realize that here, even the divine is a language meant to be shared. Marduk, the great god of Babylon, reigns supreme, but he does not reign alone. Around him gather the gods of many lands: Ishtar, Sin, Ea, Nabu, each representing something eternal: love, wisdom, water, writing. The Babylonians believe that each god is a reflection of the same cosmic truth, seen through different eyes. And so their temples become gathering places for the spirit of the world. You pause by one such temple. Inside, the air is cool and heavy with incense. Murals line the walls, scenes of creation, of the heavens, of gods walking among men. But look closely. The faces of the gods now bear features from many cultures. The foreign has not replaced the local. It has blended gently, like colors merging in twilight. The Babylonians do not fear influence. They study it. they transform it into something new, something distinctly their own. As you leave the temple, your eyes are drawn upward to the sky. There, in the soft blue morning, a crescent moon still lingers, pale and delicate. High above it, a bright dot glows the planet Venus. To you, it is only a star among many, but to the Babylonians, it is the sacred light of Ishtar, the goddess of love and war. In quiet courtyards, astronomers, the watchers of the heavens, sit with clay tablets, marking every movement of Venus, of Jupiter, of the moon. Their calculations are careful, almost reverent. They believe that the gods speak through the stars, and that to read the sky is to read destiny itself. Yet something subtle is happening here, something beyond devotion. These men are beginning to notice patterns, cycles that repeat, numbers that make sense. In their search for divine messages, they are inventing astronomy and mathematics. Their system of numbers, based on 60, allows them to divide the circle, to measure time, to predict eclipses. Every observation written in soft clay becomes a gift to the future, a step closer to understanding the universe. Imagine the sound of their tools, the faint tapping of reeds into clay, the quiet murmur of thought, the rustle of robes in the still night air. There is no rush here, no urgency. Knowledge, to them, is a slow river. It flows patiently, carrying truth forward, one ripple at a time. As evening falls, you walk toward the riverbank. The water glows orange with sunset. Across the river, you can see the silhouettes of travelers, setting up tents, traders from faraway lands, resting after long journeys. Their fires flicker in the gathering dusk, small points of warmth against the fading sky. From the city walls, musicians begin to play. The sound drifts across the water, flutes, lyres, and soft drums, creating a melody that feels ancient and eternal. You can almost sense the music weaving together the many voices of Babylon, the voices of past and present, of foreign and familiar. When night finally descends, the stars return, brighter now, sharper. You find yourself once more on the terrace of a ziggurat, looking up. The astronomers are there too, their faces illuminated by small oil lamps. One of them gestures toward the constellation you know as Orion, tracing its shape in the air. "See," he says softly, "the hunter walks across the sky every winter. He rises and falls as the crops do. His coming marks the time for planting. Another adds, and when he vanishes, the floods will follow." Their voices are low and rhythmic, like a chant. You realize that for them, science and spirituality are not separate things. To measure the stars is an act of faith. To understand the heavens is to honor the gods. You close your eyes and listen. The night air carries 1,000 whispers, the murmur of prayers, the sigh of wind through palm leaves, the steady rush of the river. Somewhere in the distance, a caravan bell rings, soft and hollow, announcing new arrivals. The world keeps coming to Babylon, and Babylon keeps learning from the world. In this exchange, there is harmony, not the silence of isolation, but the gentle hum of shared discovery. The Babylonians have found a way to absorb the world's diversity without losing themselves. They know that wisdom does not belong to one people alone. It belongs to all who seek it. As the hours pass, the astronomers finish their records. The tablets are carefully placed in a clay chest to dry, a library in the making. Generations later, these same tablets will be found by curious hands, and the stars of Babylon will shine again through time. The moon rises high, bathing the city in silver light. The great walls cast long shadows across the sleeping streets. From somewhere within the palace gardens, the faint scent of date flowers drifts into the night, sweet, soft, fleeting. You take a slow breath. Everything feels vast, connected. Babylon stands not as a fortress, but as a bridge, linking nations' ideas and the endless human desire to understand. And as you look once more at the stars, you feel a quiet truth settle in your heart. Every culture that touched Babylon changed it a little, but in return, Babylon changed them all. Its spirit traveled with the traders, with the scholars, with the dreamers who carried bits of its wisdom far beyond these rivers, across deserts, seas, and centuries. So when you gaze at the night sky in your own time, measuring minutes and hours, tracing constellations, or whispering wishes to distant stars, remember this: you, too, are part of that same exchange. You are looking at the same heavens the Babylonians once studied, and somewhere in that shared silence between earth and sky, the ancient city still listens. Babylon breathes softly, eternally, at the meeting point of worlds. Imagine the world bathed in morning light, warm and golden, as the sun rises over the plains of Mesopotamia. The twin rivers gleam like ribbons of fire, winding their patient way toward the distant sea. Between them, Babylon awakens, not the modest city of Hammurabi, nor the crossroads of traders you once wandered through, but something far grander. This is the Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar II, the king whose name will echo across centuries. Under his reign, the city becomes a jewel of the ancient world, a vision of beauty, symmetry, and devotion. As you approach from the north, the first thing you see is the Ishtar Gate. Its towering surface gleams deep blue, the color of twilight just before the stars appear. The bricks are glazed to a mirror-like sheen, and across them march rows of golden lions, dragons, and bulls, symbols of strength, guardians of the divine. The gate stands like a dream, carved into stone. Passing through it feels like stepping from earth into something eternal. The air grows cooler. The sound of the city swells around you like music. Beyond the gate, a great avenue stretches ahead, the processional way. Its stones are smooth beneath your feet, polished by the steps of thousands who have walked here before, priests carrying offerings, soldiers returning from victory, children chasing the shade of banners fluttering in the wind. The walls rise high on both sides, painted and patterned in shades of lapis, gold, and ivory. Every detail seems designed to make you look upward, toward the heavens, toward something beyond yourself. The city itself hums like a living instrument. You can hear the rhythm of markets, the distant sound of lyres, the murmur of fountains that draw water from the river. Babylon has learned to breathe in harmony with the desert that surrounds it. Under Nebuchadnezzar's rule, the city becomes a masterpiece of both art and engineering. Imagine a skyline of terraces, arches, and ziggurats glowing in the sun. Canals weave through the streets like gentle veins, bringing coolness and life. Gardens hang from rooftops, their greenery cascading down the walls, vines of jasmine, trees of pomegranate and fig, palms heavy with fruit. These are the hanging gardens, one of the wonders of the world. Some say they were built for the king's beloved queen, who longed for the green hills of her homeland. Whether they truly stood or only lived in story, their image has outlasted empires, a vision of paradise in the heart of the desert. You walk among these imagined terraces now. The air smells of flowers and running water. Birds nest in the branches overhead, their songs mingling with the rustle of leaves. The sound of trickling fountains soothes your mind like a soft lullaby. It is easy to forget where the city ends and heaven begins. In the heart of Babylon rises the Etemenanki, the great ziggurat, a mountain made by human hands, layer upon layer. It climbs toward the sky, its summit said to touch the realm of the gods. Some believe this tower inspired the story of the Tower of Babel, that once humanity reached too high and the languages of the world were scattered. But here, standing in its shadow, you feel no pride or rebellion, only reverence. The Babylonians built not to challenge the gods, but to honor them. They believed that every brick placed, every staircase raised, brought heaven and earth closer together. Inside the temple complex, priests and scholars tend to sacred fires. They record the movements of stars, perform rituals to mark the turning of seasons, and recite hymns older than memory. You listen quietly, feeling the rhythm of their chants vibrate through the stone floor, low, steady, endless. At night, the city glows. Oil lamps line the streets, their flames reflected in the canals that thread through Babylon like mirrors of the moon. From the balconies, musicians play soft melodies that drift through the warm air. You can hear the delicate plucking of strings, the gentle hum of flutes. The songs tell of creation, of love, of longing for the divine. Above all this, the stars watch, countless, patient, eternal. Babylon's astronomers sit on temple roofs, writing their observations on clay tablets. They note the hour the moon rises, the moment a planet disappears behind the horizon. To them, these movements are not random. They are messages woven into the fabric of time itself. One of the scribes beside you speaks softly. The stars, he says, are the handwriting of the gods. You watch him mark another symbol, his hand steady despite the flickering light. In that moment, you understand that knowledge here is sacred, not a weapon, but a prayer. As you wander farther into the city, you begin to notice something remarkable. Despite its size and splendor, Babylon feels peaceful. The people move calmly through their day, artisans crafting jewelry, potters turning clay, children carrying baskets of dates to market. There is pride in their work, but also humility. Each person seems to know that they are part of something larger, a city built not just of bricks, but of devotion. By midday, you find yourself standing beside the Euphrates. The river moves slowly, glittering under the sun. Barges float by, carrying grain, timber, and stone. You watch the reflection of the city ripple on the water's surface, towers bending and straightening again, as if the river itself breathes along with Babylon. The wind carries the scent of life, earth, water, flowers, clay. You take a deep breath and feel the calm of centuries settle within you. As evening approaches, the city changes once more. Shadows stretch long and soft, the air cools, lanterns flicker to life, and the sounds of laughter drift from courtyards and gardens. Somewhere, a storyteller begins to speak, his voice rising and falling like a gentle wave. Once, our ancestors tamed the rivers, then they built the walls. Now, we touch the stars. You listen, and you realize he is right. The Babylonians have done what few could. They have turned the natural world into harmony. Their art reflects their science. Their faith reflects their reason. Everything they build carries balance, and that balance feels eternal. As the night deepens, you climb once more to the highest terrace of the Hanging Gardens. From here, Babylon unfolds beneath you, vast, luminous, serene. The walls stretch toward the horizon, glowing faintly under the moon. The ziggurat rises in the distance, its top lost in mist and starlight. You can hear the faint rush of the river, the whisper of palm leaves swaying in the breeze, the low hum of 1,000 dreams breathing in unison. This is Babylon at its height, not merely a city, but a symphony of humanity's finest hopes. You close your eyes. For a moment, the sounds fade, and all that remains is the soft pulse of your heartbeat, matching the rhythm of the city itself. And in that stillness, you understand Babylon is not just a place. It is an idea that from clay, from earth, from humble beginnings, beauty can rise and touch the heavens. So sleep now, traveler of time. Let the rivers carry their music to your dreams. Tomorrow, the story will continue, for even the brightest stars must face the gentle turning of the night. Imagine the air of Babylon, still warm but quieter now. The same rivers flow, the same walls stand tall, yet something subtle has changed. It begins not with the sound of war or the fall of kings, but with a whisper, the kind that moves through markets and temples, through the silent chambers of scribes. You stand once again on the processional way. The blue-glazed lions still gleam, though their shine is dimmed by time and dust. The songs that once filled the streets now fade into murmurs. The city is older, wiser perhaps, but heavier too, as though it carries the weight of its own greatness. The people of Babylon are still proud. They speak of their kings and gods with reverence. Yet beneath their words, you sense an unease, a quiet questioning of what lies ahead. The harvests are not as plentiful as before. The trade caravans arrive later each season. The once lively scribes who recorded the movements of stars now spend more nights gazing in silence, as if the heavens no longer speak as clearly as they once did. In the royal court, decisions grow slower, tangled in ceremony and pride. The successors of Nebuchadnezzar inherit his throne, but not his vision. Their hearts remain devoted to the gods, but their minds are turned inward, lost in the rituals of preservation rather than the daring of creation. You walk past the temples, still fragrant with incense, still echoing with prayer. But even here, the chants sound different, softer, less certain. The priests burn their offerings, yet their eyes often turn toward the horizon, where other powers are rising. To the east, Persia gathers strength under Cyrus, a ruler both patient and brilliant. To the west, distant lands whisper of new empires and unseen tides of change. Babylon, once the heart of the world, now stands between the pulse of the past and the promise of something unknown. At night, the stars remain, though they seem colder now, sharper, as if drawn farther away. The astronomers record their movements faithfully, but you notice a new tone in their tablets. Worry, confusion, doubt. The heavens, once a map of destiny, now feel like a riddle. And yet, life continues. The baker still rises before dawn to shape his loaves. The potter still spins his clay. Children still chase each other along the edges of the canals. The rhythm of existence refuses to break. It only slows, softens, like the steady fading of a song's final notes. You pass by the gardens once more, their terraces still standing, though less green now. The air feels drier. Some fountains no longer flow. The vines have grown wild in places, curling over broken stones. You pause and listen to the wind moving through the leaves. It sounds like a sigh, ancient, weary, yet still alive. In the palace archives, scribes continue their sacred task, recording the story of Babylon. Tablet by tablet, they etch the passing of days, the changing of rulers, the movements of trade. Their work is calm, deliberate, timeless. They do not know if their words will outlive them, only that they must try. One scribe, older than most, looks up from his work. His hands are stained with clay and ink. "We write," he tells you, "so the world remembers we once dreamed." You nod, though no reply seems needed. Outside, the sound of the river drifts in gentle, constant, the same music that has carried the story of Babylon since the first village rose from the mud. And yet, even the river has changed. Its course shifts slightly each year, carving new bends through the silt. The old docks now stand farther from the water. What once was the lifeline of the city slowly drifts away, like a friend who no longer knows your name. Still, Babylon does not fall suddenly. No city so great ever does. It unravels softly, almost kindly, like fabric loosening at the seams. There are fewer festivals now. The great processions that once filled the streets are smaller, the songs simpler. The people still bow before Marduk, but their prayers are quieter, whispered rather than sung. The city's temples remain magnificent, but cracks begin to trace their walls, fine as spiderwebs, delicate as time itself. Beyond the city's edge, farmlands struggle. The soil, once rich and dark, begins to tire. The canals need cleaning, the embankments repair. But resources are thin, and the people are weary. Some leave for the countryside, others stay, clinging to the comfort of familiar walls. You find yourself one evening on the banks of the Euphrates, watching the reflection of the moon shimmer across the water. The air smells faintly of clay and smoke. A small group of children play nearby, their laughter echoing faintly through the night. Their joy feels timeless, proof that even in decline, life endures. In the distance, you hear a faint rumble, not of thunder, but of footsteps, the slow approach of something vast and inevitable. Yet the people of Babylon do not tremble. They have seen centuries rise and fall. They know that all empires, like rivers, must one day change their course. When the Persians finally come, they do not arrive in fury. They move with quiet efficiency, like a tide meeting the shore. Cyrus, the new conqueror, is not cruel. He honors the gods of Babylon, restores temples, and respects the customs of its people. And so, when Babylon yields, it does so almost peacefully. The gates open not to destruction, but to transformation. The city becomes part of a larger world, its spirit absorbed but not extinguished. You walk once more through the streets, now filled with both Babylonians and Persians. You hear new languages, see new roads, smell new spices drifting from the markets. The old and the new blend together, uneasily perhaps, but beautifully. The temples remain, the scholars still write, the gardens still breathe. But something deep within the city has shifted, a realization that greatness is not eternal, that even the grandest walls cannot hold back time. As night falls, you climb to the top of a quiet terrace and look out across Babylon. The horizon glows faintly, touched by moonlight. The city is still magnificent, still alive, but its brilliance has softened, like the glow of embers after a long fire. You close your eyes and listen. The hum of Babylon is lower now, slower, yet still filled with dignity. It is not the silence of defeat, but the calm of endurance. a civilization folding gracefully into the next chapter of history. Somewhere, a priest continues his prayer, a child laughs, the river flows, and you realize, as the stars shimmer overhead, that this is how greatness ends, not with an echo of despair, but with a sigh of peace. For Babylon's story was never only about power. It was about the rhythm of life itself, the rise, the flourish, the gentle fading, and the quiet hope that something of it all will live on. You breathe deeply and feel the weight of ages settle like soft sand around you. The night is calm, the crisis has passed, and though the city sleeps, its dreams remain vast, luminous, and unbroken. The air of Babylon feels different now, lighter, calmer, as though the city has taken a deep breath after centuries of holding its own grandeur. The streets are still lined with baked brick. The towers still reach toward the sky, but their purpose has softened. Babylon is no longer the center of conquest. It has become the keeper of memory. Imagine walking once more through the Ishtar Gate. Its blues are gentler now, its golden lions dulled by time, yet still proud. You notice new faces among the crowd, Persians with long robes of linen, merchants from faraway Lydia, scholars speaking in accents you've never heard before. The world has widened, and Babylon sits at its heart like a wise elder, listening to the languages of its children. Cyrus the Great has come and gone. His rule brought a strange kind of peace, a peace not born of silence, but of understanding. He allowed the Babylonians to keep their gods, their rituals, their ways. In the temples, the name of Marduk is still spoken with reverence. Incense still curls through the air, rising in delicate ribbons toward the sky. But now, beside the old priests, there stand Persian magi, observers, not conquerors, carrying with them the wisdom of the East. Together, they study the stars, compare their calendars, and exchange knowledge like seeds scattered across a fertile field. You climb the steps of the ziggurat, the Etemenanki, once a monument of pure Babylonian pride. The climb feels quieter now. At the summit, where the temple once shimmered with gold and turquoise, the view opens endlessly, a horizon of fields, canals, and the faint shimmer of the Euphrates winding through it all. Down below, new gardens bloom, not the legendary hanging terraces of Nebuchadnezzar, but simpler, humbler plots filled with fruit trees and flowering herbs. The people tend them carefully, using irrigation methods taught by both Babylonian engineers and Persian planners. It is a partnership of old wisdom and new vision, practical, gentle, enduring. As you walk through the markets, the sounds of many worlds blend together. The ring of bronze, the murmur of trade, the laughter of children chasing each other between stalls. You hear music played on new instruments, flutes of reed and lyres strung with silk. You notice to the sense myrrh from Arabia, wine from Anatolia, lapis from distant Bactria. The world's goods flow through Babylon like dreams flowing through a sleeping mind. The scholars of the city have adapted as well. In their clay tablets and scrolls, they begin to record not only their own discoveries, but those of others. Babylon becomes a bridge of knowledge, a meeting place of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. Here, the past and future meet under the same sun. At night, the city still looks toward the stars. But now, the astronomers of Babylon share their watchtowers with Persian magi and foreign scholars. Together, they trace constellations, chart the moon's shadow, and speak softly of time, that silent river that carries empires downstream. One evening, as you sit among them, a young scholar turns to you and says, "Our ancestors believed the gods wrote fate in the sky. Perhaps now we simply learn to read the handwriting." You smile, because the truth is both ancient and new. Babylon still listens to the heavens, but with a mind that has grown wiser. The temples themselves, though aged, are kept alive. Restoration replaces ambition. Instead of raising new towers, the people mend the old ones. Instead of chasing eternity, they nurture what remains. And somehow, this humility gives Babylon a different kind of beauty, one not of power, but of peace. The Persians build new administrative halls, their columns tall and graceful, their carvings intricate but restrained. They do not erase the Babylonian past, they build alongside it. The two styles mingle, the bold patterns of Mesopotamia and the delicate symmetry of Persia. The city becomes a mosaic of harmony, each piece different yet essential. You visit the royal archives, where scribes continue to press their styluses into clay. But now, next to Akkadian and Sumerian signs, you see cuneiform lines in Old Persian. The tablets record treaties, harvests, poetry, prayers. You touch one gently, feeling the grooves with your fingertips, the breath of 1,000 years preserved in clay. Outside, near the river, small shrines bloom like flowers. Travelers stop to leave offerings, a coin, a piece of fruit, a quiet prayer whispered to the air. No one asks what god they pray to. Babylon has learned that divinity has many names, and that peace comes from listening more than from declaring. As seasons pass, the city's rhythm slows further, but it never stops. Each dawn, the same golden light spills over the walls. The same smell of wet clay and morning bread drifts through the alleys. The same songs echo across the courtyards, songs of birth, of rain, of time. Babylon has become something gentler, a sanctuary of memory. When Alexander the Great arrives generations later, he finds not a rival, but a teacher. The young conqueror, wide-eyed before its walls, speaks of rebuilding the city, of restoring its temples to glory. He walks its streets in wonder, tracing his fingers over the glazed bricks of the Ishtar Gate. To him, Babylon is a dream reborn, proof that even the mightiest of cities can rise again in spirit. And so, for a time, life flourishes once more. Scholars gather, philosophers debate, architects sketch the outlines of new towers. The city becomes a center of study, a whisper of its former grandeur, glowing softly in the dusk of antiquity. But this time, Babylon's greatness does not roar, it hums. It hums in the voice of teachers passing their craft to students, in the songs sung by merchants at dusk, in the careful hands of those who tend the gardens along the river. You walk one last time along the Euphrates. The sun dips low, staining the water with gold. The reflection of the city dances on the current, its towers, its walls, its quiet soul. You kneel, touch the cool water, and feel its pulse beneath your hand. It is the same pulse that has always been there, steady, patient, eternal. The wind carries the scent of jasmine from a nearby garden. In the distance, a bell chimes softly, signaling the evening. The people of Babylon gather in doorways, lighting lamps, their faces warm in the glow. As darkness falls, you look out over the city, no longer the conqueror of worlds, but the keeper of wisdom. Babylon, reborn not through power, but through peace. You breathe deeply. The stars emerge once more, their light unchanged, their silence full of meaning. And as you close your eyes, you realize that this quiet renewal is the truest form of immortality. For while kingdoms rise and fall, and names fade into dust, the spirit of Babylon lives on in every city that learns, rebuilds, and dreams again. Imagine yourself standing among quiet ruins under a vast, star-sprinkled sky. The air is still warm, touched by the faint scent of dust and night-blooming flowers. Somewhere far below the surface, the bones of an ancient city sleep, the city once called Babylon. Yet, though the streets are silent, the world still hums with its memory. Babylon has fallen into stone and sand, but its spirit has not faded. It lingers, like the afterglow of a sunset, gentle, golden, eternal. You can feel it in the words we speak, in the buildings we raise, in the stories we tell. Babylon's echo moves quietly through time, threading itself into the heart of human civilization. Once, this city was a gathering of minds. Scholars traced the paths of stars and wrote of the cycles of the moon, their numbers and symbols, the 60-based counting system, the mapping of constellations. The first calendars would one day shape the very language of science. Even now, when someone measures time in 60 minutes or gazes upward to trace Orion's belt, they are unknowingly whispering Babylon's name. Imagine walking through a library centuries after the fall. In the faint light of an oil lamp, a scholar unfolds a brittle scroll. On it are the impressions of cuneiform, wedge-shaped marks pressed into clay by hands long gone. The scholar does not know the faces of those who wrote them, yet he feels their presence. Knowledge has crossed time, just as the Euphrates once crossed the plains. Babylon's influence spread quietly through empires. The Persians preserved its administrative systems. The Greeks studied its astronomy. The Romans borrowed its sense of order, its mathematics, its reverence for structured law. Even as new civilizations rose, each carried a trace of Babylon's rhythm within its heartbeat. You walk along a quiet path where once the processional way stood. The stones are broken now, half buried in soil. Grass grows between them, soft and green. But if you listen closely, you can almost hear the echoes, the drums of ancient festivals, the low hum of hymns offered to Marduk, the laughter of children running beneath banners of blue and gold. These sounds are not gone. They have simply changed shape, woven into the music of temples, churches, and mosques that came after. For every faith that followed, every new god adored, carried within it the ancient human longing for order, light, and harmony, the same longing that built Babylon. And then there are the stories. From Babylon's ziggurats and gardens came tales that would travel far beyond its walls. The story of a great flood, of a tower built to reach heaven, of a paradise where rivers meet. These legends became part of the world's shared dream. When later generations wrote their own sacred texts, echoes of Babylon whispered through their pages. Its myths became metaphors, its symbols transformed, yet the essence remained. The desire to understand the divine, the search for meaning among stars and stones. You pause beneath a fragment of ancient wall, worn smooth by centuries of wind. Its bricks still bear traces of the deep blue glaze that once made the city shine. You run your fingers across it and feel the faint warmth held within sunlight from another age. Somewhere, a gentle wind stirs the sand. You can almost hear it say, "We were here." And indeed they were, the builders, the dreamers, the thinkers who gave shape to civilization itself. Babylon's language may be silent, but its logic endures. Its symbols became mathematics. Its rituals became philosophy. Its architecture, measured, symmetrical, serene, inspired temples, palaces, and gardens from Persia to Rome, from the banks of the Nile to the hills of Athens. Even today, when architects draw plans for cities, they still echo Babylon's ideals, the geometry of harmony, the balance between earth and sky. You look toward the horizon, where the Euphrates winds through silver mist. It is smaller now, gentler, but its water still remembers the hands that once guided it, the canals that shaped its flow. And just like the river, the wisdom of Babylon continues to move quietly through the ages, nourishing the lands that followed. Centuries pass in your mind like turning pages. Empires rise and fall. Persia, Greece, Rome, Byzantium. Yet in each you find a glimmer of Babylon, the ordered writing of scribes, the celestial charts of scholars, the patterned bricks of sacred halls. It is as if Babylon never truly ended. It simply changed form, becoming part of the human story itself. Now imagine a quiet study somewhere in modern time. A researcher leans over a tablet inscribed with cuneiform. The room is silent except for the soft scratch of a pencil and the slow rhythm of breathing. The researcher traces the ancient lines, sounding out the symbols. Slowly, the words return records of rainfall, prayers to the gods, songs of harvest. In that moment, time folds in on itself. Babylon breathes again. You realize something gentle and profound. The city never truly vanished. It lives in the questions we ask, in the patterns we seek, in our endless desire to record, to measure, to remember. Every time a poet writes of paradise, every time a scientist maps the stars, every time a builder lays the first stone of a new city, there, beneath the surface, Babylon whispers. Its voice is patient, ancient, kind. It reminds us that knowledge is sacred, that order and beauty can coexist, that humanity's story is one long continuum of learning and dreaming. As night deepens, you lie back upon the earth and look at the stars. The same constellations, once watched by Babylonian priests, still glitter above you unchanged, eternal. The wind brushes your face with the same warmth that touched the gardens, the same quiet that filled the courtyards centuries ago. You close your eyes and listen to the silence. It hums softly, like the breathing of the world. In that silence, you can still hear it, faint but unmistakable, the echo of Babylon. Imagine the morning sun spilling across the plains of Mesopotamia. The air is warm, quiet, and golden. Somewhere beneath your feet, beneath centuries of soil and wind and time, the stones of Babylon still rest, patient, dreaming. The city that once touched the heavens has returned to the earth. Yet, if you listen closely, you can feel it, a heartbeat, soft but steady, echoing through the layers of history. Babylon still breathes. You begin to walk. The horizon stretches endlessly, dry grass shimmering like silk beneath the sunlight. The Euphrates glimmers nearby, winding its ancient path, carrying reflections of sky and memory. Birds wheel lazily above you. The world feels vast and yet deeply familiar. All around you, fragments of civilization lie half buried in dust, broken bricks. The curve of a column, a piece of carved stone that once framed a doorway. You kneel to touch it. The surface is warm, the edges smoothed by time. Once this was a home, or a temple, or a hall where voices echoed in devotion. Now it is quiet, but the silence does not feel like loss. It feels like rest, the calm that follows a long and beautiful song. You look to the horizon and imagine what once stood here, towers rising like mountains, gardens cascading with green courtyards, alive with laughter and prayer. You can almost hear the faint rhythm of music drifting through the air, the same rhythm that guided Babylon's builders, farmers, and dreamers. That rhythm, the heartbeat of creation itself, never truly stopped. It simply changed tempo, carrying forward through every age that followed. You think of how Babylon's spirit lives within us still. When people measure time in 60 minutes, when architects trace perfect symmetry in stone, when scholars map the movement of planets, they are continuing the work begun beside these rivers so long ago. Babylon was not merely a city, it was an idea that human hands could shape order from chaos, beauty from earth, meaning from the stars. And that idea has never faded. In every city built with care, in every book written in search of understanding, in every garden planted in a place where none should grow, there quietly Babylon rises again. You pause beside a patch of wildflowers growing between two ancient stones. Their petals tremble in the breeze, pale yellow against the sand. You smile, realizing that even here, where once stood the most powerful city on earth, nature continues her patient work of renewal. Life does not end, it transforms, just as Babylon transformed again and again. Centuries after its fall, poets wrote of it. Painters imagined its gates, its towers, its hanging gardens, symbols of splendor, wisdom, and yearning. Philosophers spoke of its pride and its peace. Theologians told stories of its rise and fall, not as warnings, but as reflections of the human soul, how we build, how we dream, how we begin again. In this way, Babylon became more than a place. It became a mirror, showing us the cycle of creation, flourishing, loss, and rebirth that defines all civilization. You walk farther until you reach the river. Its surface ripples in soft waves. The water carries silt, the same earth that once built walls, the same clay that once held the words of kings and priests. You dip your hand into the current. It feels cool, alive. You imagine that this water, flowing endlessly, carries with it whispers of every era of Hammurabi's laws, Nebuchadnezzar's gardens, Cyrus's peace, Alexander's wonder. The river remembers them all. It remembers, and it moves on. Above you, the sky turns deep blue. A gentle wind moves through the reeds. Somewhere in the distance, a shepherd's flute begins to play, a simple tune, soft and clear. The sound feels timeless, as though the melody itself were older than the language it's played in. You close your eyes and listen, and as you do, you realize something quiet but profound. Babylon never truly ended, because it was never only bricks and mortar. It was a way of seeing, a belief that the universe is connected, that learning is sacred, that beauty and wisdom can exist together. Those beliefs have outlived every wall, every empire. They live now in the hum of modern cities, in the glow of books and screens, in the endless search for knowledge that drives humanity forward. They live in you, in your curiosity, in your wonder, in your longing for meaning. Somewhere deep in the soil, the old tablets still rest, inscribed with prayers, measurements, stories. The clay may be cracked, but the marks remain, as if the earth itself refuses to forget. And maybe that is the truest legacy of Babylon. Not power, not conquest, but memory. The will to remember, to learn, to dream. You open your eyes again. The sky is vast. The light is soft. The river glimmers like silver silk. You feel the warmth of the land beneath your feet, the pulse of something eternal moving through it. You whisper into the air, not to summon the past, but to thank it. Thank you for the stars. Thank you for the gardens. Thank you for the wisdom written in clay. The wind stirs gently, as if answering, and then, like all travelers who have walked far enough into memory, you turn to leave. The ruins fade behind you, bathed in the gold of evening light. The horizon stretches ahead, wide open, filled with possibility. Somewhere in the distance, a city waits to be built. Somewhere, hands will once again shape clay, draw lines, plant gardens. The dream continues. You walk on, carrying the echo of Babylon within you, quiet, steady, eternal, and as the sun sinks low, you feel peace settle over you like a soft blanket. The stars begin to appear, one by one, the same stars that guided the watchers of old. The river hums its ancient song, the earth cools, and night unfolds its gentle wings. Sleep now, traveler of time. For though the city rests, its spirit lives on in every dawn, in every thought, in every dream that dares to reach for the heavens. This is Babylon's final gift, that nothing truly ends, that even in silence, life continues to sing, and somewhere, beneath the timeless sky, the whisper of Babylon still drifts across the sands, soft, endless, serene. And now, the journey comes to rest. The city that once glittered with gold and light has faded softly into memory, but the whisper of Babylon remains in the stars, in the rivers, in the quiet rhythm of time. You've walked through its rise and fall, through its gardens, its towers, its gentle hum of life. You've felt its wisdom woven into the earth itself, a story not of endings, but of beginnings repeated over and over, each one born from the last. Take a deep breath now. Feel the calm of the present returning. You are here, safe and still. The world outside has slowed, and only peace remains. Let the ancient songs of Babylon drift away like mist, leaving behind only warmth, a quiet knowing that history continues within you. As you close your eyes, imagine the river once more, its water smooth, endless, and serene. It carries the past downstream toward the ocean of tomorrow. Rest now, traveler of time. Let the story settle softly in your mind. The world sleeps, the stars keep watch, and Babylon dreams beneath them still. Sleep well, and may your dreams be gentle, filled with the light of ancient skies.